Hello, everybody. Timothy Painter here, wishing you all a very happy New Year's. I tried to do this stream twice last night and was unsuccessful because I think the cell networks were overwhelmed. And so, in playback, when the stream played back after it ended, it was so choppy, things were being left out because of all the buffering. It obviously doesn't record you when you're buffering. So it wasn't very successful, and I took both streams down. I didn't feel that they were adequate right now. In New Year's Day, it might change for me this year. Hello, Heather. How are you? Uh, Welcome to the stream. And I'm really excited. And uh, it went so badly last night that you couldn't really make it without filling in the blanks, and it didn't make any sense because of all the buffering. This is why choosing Sprint today is probably a bad decision. And one of my resolutions for the next year will be to find a different carrier. This Sprint has disappointed me, I think, maybe for the last time. And because I really want things to change, I'm looking for some dramatic things. And in just a very few days, I'm going to go into court for maybe the next to last time, at least for a long time, and take care of a case. And then I have one more after that in March. And if I'm not crazy enough to take on new cases, I'll be done. And then I can move along. Uh, Heather says Gus is using T-Mobile. Yeah, he has been using T-Mobile. Verizon would be better for me, but unfortunately, I got in a big dispute with Verizon almost 10 years ago, and they were sending me phones, and I was sending them phones back, and I didn't get credit for everything. And the long and short of it is, they have me down for a $1,400 bill, which I refused to pay. Then they refused to give me service, and I know that because I tried to switch back to Verizon 2 years ago, and they said, "Sorry, you're in our system until you pay that back bill. We're not going to give you service." And I'm saying, look, you guys didn't do what you promised. What I found with Verizon is all the things that were getting cut off the cell plan, like and especially related to internet. So I would switch to the cell plan, and then I would get these huge new bills, and I would say, "Why am I getting these new bills?" Well, on your current cell plan, that use is not allowed. Well, you didn't tell me you were taking that use away from me. You told me I was updating to a better. Camper Girl One asked me, "How am I doing?" I've been doing pretty well. I'm still on oxygen, even though I'm at a lower elevation. I use it at night, and then throughout the day, I take it because I end up with short of breath. Uh, in theory, my levels are okay. I'm about a 91 level on oxygen. Most of you are at 98 to 100, and 91 is acceptable from a medical point of view, but it's not ideal. Uh, Happy New Year, Kat. Good to see you. I'm so lucky to have all of you guys in my life. People I've never known, and many of you I've never met. I've met Gus, obviously, but many of you I've never met, and I feel like you're my friends, and it's so fun to see you. Patty Crane, hello, Patty, Happy New Year. Patty Crane just wrote in, and has the doctor said why your oxygen is lower? Camper Goer one asks, and Heather Wilcox wishes me a Happy New Year. They can't get to the bottom of it. I had a disaster in the sleep study. Most of you, if you follow my videos, I went in for a sleep study and they didn't show up. And I spent 2 nights, 3 nights really, in frigid temperatures up in Breckenridge, camping out in my van, and they didn't bother showing up. And so they apologized. I bitched to my doctors and they apologized and they said, "Come up tonight." And I said, "Well, I slept till noon today. I really shouldn't. And also, how am I going to be acclimated? This is an altitude test." "No, we have a room tonight. Come tonight. And if you don't sleep, you can take it again." So I went up and I didn't sleep. I didn't get to sleep till 3 o'clock. And they now have told me I have sleep apnea, which is something I already knew. This isn't my first sleep study, and because I didn't get to sleep till very late, they couldn't give me the sleep machine, the CPAP machine. So we don't know what setting to put it on, and the doctors won't prescribe a machine until we get the right setting. And so it was a complete waste of money. My money, I spent, I don't know, $300, and my insurance company's money, they spent several $1,000s. And Patty says she has sleep apnea too. And it's a terrible thing because what happens is over a long period of time, your heart doesn't get enough oxygen because it's not getting any oxygen. And uh, then your heart starts pumping less efficiently because it was deprived of oxygen, and then you end up with low oxygen levels. And I have a hunch, although, hello, Lauren, Happy New Year. I have a hunch that's why I'm having such low oxygen levels. It's because I'm damaging my heart, but I can't get a CPAP prescribed until we get a good sleep study. And the sleep study people, in their very greedy nature, wouldn't refuse to retest me, even though they promised if I didn't sleep they would. Now, when I called them back and said, "Look, I didn't sleep," I called her the day of the sleep study after it was over and said, "I didn't sleep, and I know you have an opening. No, we're not going to retest you. You can talk to your doctor about paying for a retest." They have not tested me apparently for congestive heart failure, although I have a cardiologist and he's watching for that. And I suspect that soon I will have congestive heart failure. As if my heart continues to deteriorate, then it will turn into congestive heart failure, and well, that'll be it. You can't go uphill from congestive heart failure. You just go downhill. I went to the same place for a sleep study. I drove all the way up there in bad weather just to find out. Oops, just to find out. They canceled my appointment before noon and never bothered to call me. Wow, were you going to Breckenridge, Colorado? Frisco, Colorado? Because that's what happened to me. I went up knowing there was going to be bad weather. I went the day before. I slept in my van, which I do frequently anyway, but not when it's a blizzard out. And then they didn't bother to show up, and they didn't bother calling me, and they have it in their notes they called me. I know they didn't call me because I don't have a call from them, and my cell phone is very good about recording voice messages, and it's very good about recording telephones. Yeah, it's really wrong for the medical people to do it, and these people are only in it for a buck. So they got me to fill the one bed that was available that night because they were going to lose the money, right? If there's nobody in the bed, they were going to lose the money, and now they want me to go retest again, so they make another $4,000. Uh, yeah, Patty, I could probably go somewhere else for 4 grand. It has to be at altitude. That would put me, the next sleep lab over is in Leadville. That's at 10,000 feet, uh, which is 1,000 feet higher than here. And shortness of oxygen at 9,000 feet. You can imagine. Uh, Nana, that's what I actually was the hospital administrator that told me that they weren't going to show up and that they hadn't called the hospital and no one knew where they were. And the hospital let me stay in the hospital that night. And then the next night I had to stay on my own uh, because I couldn't stay in the hospital again. And the highway was closed. I-70 was closed due to this huge snowstorm, this winter storm blast that came through. So anyway, that's kind of the saga, and where I am right now is I'm to the point of thinking you're able to get around, you feel pretty good. Screw these doctors, just go live your life, and what's gonna happen is gonna happen, and it's time to quit looking for help. I'm spending so much time trying to get tested and trying to get a CPAP ordered, which nobody will order at this point, that I'm just better off to go live my life. And if bad things happen, then you just have to accept it as part of life. And that's really where I am. And so I'm about 7 days out before I can leave Colorado, and I'll have to come back. I have one more case to do, but that hopefully, if I'm smart, I'll not take any more cases. Camper Goer one, I'm not working on my weight, and I guess that should be a New Year's resolution. I keep thinking if I get to be more active, I will be able to work on my weight. Weight loss could help with the apnea. Uh, the reason I can't get a CPAP is because the doctors won't prescribe one until the sleep lab prescribes it, and they have to do a CPAP test in order to give you an oxygen meter setting. And that's what the doctors are lacking is the oxygen meter setting. And I have had a CPAP before, but the new doctors can't find that CPAP test, and it's 7 or 8 years old. Uh, would I be able to use a CPAP on the road? Lauren asks, and that's a good question. It can be done. There are people using a CPAP. Bob Wells just put out a video with people using a CPAP uh, on a solar generator, and I can also bring along a gasoline generator and do it that way. And also on the road, I'm going to be at a lower elevation, and I think that will help. The uh, Patty says, yes, you can, Lauren. I will be using mine on the road. Yep. And they have battery operated CPAPs too, although they're pretty expensive. Camper Van Kevin apparently uses one, Camper Goer one says. And the reason I quit using my CPAP is I also am a sleepwalker. This is a terrible story. So I was sleepwalking one night and I found myself on the floor. And when I fell, I bit my tongue, and I actually have a chunk, what they call a tongue flap, where the skin is cut. And you'll hear me once in a while lisping. That's because my tongue has been cut from falling. So I woke up and I had all this blood dripping out of my mouth, and I didn't know why because I'd been sleepwalking. And so I quit using the original CPAP that I had years ago. And it's a pretty grisly story, and I'm not sure how I'm going to solve that problem. But I'm now down to choice of evils. Would I rather continue doing damage to my heart, or would I rather have a CPAP? Well, if and Kemper Gorwin says there might be an alternative to a CPAP, I'd love to know what I've been using, and it has been pretty successful, is oxygen therapy. What the oxygen therapy does is pump so much oxygen through you that it helps avoid the problems with the CPAP without the problem. And so what I can do, I take these big oxygen bottles, and I'm supposed to be on 3 liters, but I turn them also very heavy oxygen bottles. They're huge, so you've got to haul that all around. It's just more weight. Um, yeah, Kemper Goer once says she's going to do a little investigation as to what machine might work, and I would be very interested. CPAP can lead to an enlarged heart. Oh, wow, I didn't know that. At least that is what my doctor told me. So I'm not really interested in an enlarged heart. And I'm thinking I'm just going to have to go live my life. Right now, what I'm living my life for are my doctors. I feel like I'm paying for their children's college education, and I'm just getting sick of it. And everybody says, "Well, why aren't you leaving?" Because I have a doctor's appointments, and they're really hard. I have a pulmonologist now, a lung specialist, and he was really hard to get in to see. I had to call multiple times just to get the appointment, and of course the cardiologist wants to see you every 3 months, and then you get on medication, and it's illegal to mail medication, so you can't mail medication out, and so you have to be here every 3 months at least to get medication, and in my case, because of the insurance requirements, every month I got to make a trip back to Colorado. And I feel like I'm not living my life for myself anymore. I'm living my life to suit the doctor's requirements and the insurance requirements. And, in the old days, I knew the doctors and I'd been with them for years, and we had a great relationship, and I could tell them about traveling, and I could tell them about the van life, and they would accept it. And today, I feel like I don't know my doctors very well, and they feel like they don't know me because they don't trust me with medications, or they're so frightened of malpractice that they don't want to overwrite prescriptions. Uh, Camber Gore once says, "If you get berberine, will you take it?" I don't know what berberine is. It's a supplement and it helps with glucose levels and weight loss. I'm interested in anything. Uh, I would certainly look at all options. Somebody asked, "Are you a veteran?" No, I'm not a veteran. Uh, Lauren asked me, "Do I qualify as a veteran?" Nope, I didn't do the military thing. And in fact, I hate my hair. In fact, I felt like I escaped, was very fortunate to have escaped going to Vietnam. Now I kind of wish it would have worked and I would have gone, but I didn't go to Vietnam and I missed it by weeks. And the people that came back from Vietnam from my generation were in the thick of it, and they talk about horrific experiences that they had, and some of them came back with PTSD that was incredible. And I really counted my blessings that I didn't go to Vietnam, and I'm very happy that I didn't. But I could go see military doctors and all of those things, and that's just not my case. Berberine. Camber Goer one says, research berberine online. It's a flowering plant from Iran. Okay, well, now you really have me intrigued. They call it the new turmeric, and I used to take turmeric. I'm a big fan of natural remedies, and I certainly will. Uh, yeah, I could have enlisted. Lauren said you could have enlisted. Her husband enlisted. He didn't go to Vietnam. And I could have. In fact, when I got out of law school, I was thinking about enlisting and becoming a JAG. But I was technically too old by that date. I had a recruiter who said, "Well, we think we could get the rules bent for you." I think I was 45, and that is way over the age of recruitment. Um, but I didn't do it, and now do I want to try and do it? In my overweight and not very good physical condition, probably wouldn't qualify. Um, uh, and what for? Just to get the military benefits. Not that I really want a new career in the military, and not that I really agree with what our military is doing right now. I and this is not to say anything about the actual soldiers who are out there doing the hard work. This is to say about policy. And so we're not a political channel. We won't go there. I'm not going to talk about military things. Yeah, I don't think I probably qualify. They probably don't want guys who are 62 years old going to the military. So, and I'd have to cut the hair, which, by the way, I'm thinking about cutting the hair. I'm thinking about leaving it till I get to the RTR so people know who I am. And because if I cut this, you wouldn't recognize me. And then when I get there, cutting it. And I was having a long conversation with Gus last night about the RTR. He's really excited. He's there waiting for us. My triglycerides and cholesterol were over 250, 300, and now my triglycerides, wow. So that really worked. Uh, that really worked for Camper Goer 1. Her LDL is under 200. So that's pretty amazing. Uh, I'm thinking about shaving the thing off completely. Lauren asks, "Are you going to cut it off completely?" And I am thinking about cutting it off completely. I'm thinking about really some big, big changes in my life. First of all, this could be my first year in which I spend basically the whole year in in my van, and I've never done that. I've always had my place in Breckenridge to go to during really cold months, and I've had my friend's place that I could stay at during cold months. And uh, Patty's talking about this product, the berberine. So I'm going to have to check that out. I think it's all worth checking out and all worth seeing. Um, so anyway, this could be a huge year. I also hope to up my video game, not game, but my video production dramatically. I've acquired a computer I can actually edit videos on. I quit editing videos when my 4K footage wouldn't run. It was so jumpy that you couldn't do anything with it. And so I quit shooting with my professional camera and I quit editing videos. And so now I can edit the videos, and I expect that I will be bringing you some better shots of this travel life. Hey, Timothy, I'm going to try to make it to the RTR. Uh, this is Lauren. I think, no, let's see. This is Patty. I'm going to try and make it to the RTR. Also, all depends on my father in law's health. Yeah, aren't so many of us stuck? We have one more thing that's keeping us rooted and we can't leave, whether it's family, it's money, it's job, it's health, it's children, it's obligations, it's the car now isn't working. My car just developed a check engine light. Um, and Lauren says, I think it will make you look younger. I think I'll lose a lot of years when I take this off. My husband grows a beard for the winter and shaves it off after Christmas. He looks so much younger without it, and he is the same age as you. I think I'll look significantly younger, and who knows, maybe I'll come back from Arizona with a new girlfriend. Who knows? But honestly, I'm not looking. Uh, so we have some comments. Camper Goin says Biotics Research 500 milligrams 3 times a day. Okay, well we're gonna have to check out this product, berberine, I think it's called. And Camper Go Run says children and dogs. And Camper Go Run, a lot of you don't know, but she's a very dedicated person. She's a caregiver, and she has my highest admiration. I was a caregiver of my other half during a cancer period, and I'll tell you, it was probably the best time of my life, and probably was the most difficult time. People keep walking by me. I'm in this apartment building, and they act like I'm a little crazy, talking to myself. Yeah. A lot of people just aren't up on high tech and what a little cell phone can do. It's just amazing. Um, Anyway, it sure is a big honor for me to talk to all of you out there, and I'm wishing you all a wonderful new year. Things have been changing so dramatically in my life that I feel like almost like I'm a new kid on the block now, and wow, we'll just have to see what the future holds. Last year, after the RTR, I did not want to come back here, and I knew the minute I came back that I was going to get stuck. And this is what happens when I come back to my hometown. My family holds me down. My clients put ties on me. I have investments here that hold me down. I have a spiritual group that I'm involved with, and I just can't help myself. And then somebody calls and says, "Oh, I'm in trouble, and please help," and I'll pay you. The last famous words, I'll pay you, and they never do. And I take the case, and then I find myself where I can't get away. And so I'm trying to cut all those ties. Not cut them is not the right word, but to put them on the side so that I can go travel and go see, maybe go meet some of you guys and see a little bit more of the country and bring the travel life more to life from my perspective. Uh, I think I have a great perspective, and I have a lot to tell people, and it's just a matter of finding the opportunity to tell the story and bring it to all of you. There are people who really want to do what I want to do, and they can't do it, and their only way of doing it is to do it vicariously from other people, and then one day they'll eventually get out there. And honestly, that's kind of where I've been. I've been stuck, and unable to do the things that I want to do. um, Camper Goer One says if I'll email her, she can send me the berberine as a New Year gift. Send me your address. Okay. And Pat, I'm not going to give your email out on the air unless you want me to. Patty said she would love to meet up and maybe at the RTR. Uh, I was going to do a thing at the RTR. I was going to do legal problems of nomads, and I decided not to. The problem with legal discussions of any kind is that the laws vary so much by state. There's a presumption that you don't have another place to live in, and therefore, and the state doesn't like indigent people. They want everybody to have a place. There are insurance laws. If you don't properly insure your vehicle, if you're living in it but you tell the insurance company you're just doing little trips, then they may not cover you, even though you think you should be covered. There are care and control laws. I take some medications, and I don't want a policeman knocking on my door and then running me through DUI type moves. And so I'm very careful that they can't say that I'm in care and control of my vehicle once I'm in the sleeping compartment. There are firearms laws, and personally, I don't carry a firearm. I don't think that the result, if I ever have to use one, would be pleasant. I'm not willing to take those kinds of risks. But some people do, and they'd like to know, well, what are the laws about moving firearms from state to state, and how do I transport a firearm, and can it be loaded, and where can it be kept, and how does it have to be kept? And there are so many other laws that I would be happy to talk about to nomads because it really applies to them. And but I decided not to do the seminar. They were asking for volunteers, but I decided not to do that one because there are some people who are way, 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 way out in left field on some of the laws, and I didn't want to go down that law. There are some people who are really, really pushing the federal system, and I don't want to push the federal system that hard. And so, anyway, law is a very interesting topic because it affects every one of us, and every one of us could be innocently doing nothing in our RV and find ourselves on the bad side of an encounter with the constabulary without ever intending to, without having been a really good person. I've seen many of my clients who have suffered in the worst way at the hands of law enforcement who are just doing their job. Um, and different people have different points of view. Uh, no super chat. I didn't know we didn't have a super chat. And I guess I got a lot to learn about how to run these darn things. Um, let's see. Patty is talking about emailing. Camper Gore one's giving a thumbs up. Gus in the bus is there. Gus, we were just talking about you and Happy New Year. We were just talking about our discussions in the bus, and he tells you very directly what he thinks. He can be very sarcastic, but it's all done with the best of intentions. And really, there's a lot of wisdom. He's obviously had some life experiences, and he shares those with me. And so I'm going to try and work hard not to use the same word over and over again. I didn't realize I was doing it, and boy, I'm the kind of guy. I'm a different kind of guy. I believe strongly that if you're doing something and someone's willing to tell you about it, if you have toilet paper on your foot, and if somebody tells you you're overusing certain words, certain adjectives, and then listen to them. If somebody gives you some hints about your videos, listen to them. They're not there to break your heart or so if Gus in the bus, I'm going to say it again. I don't know how much of that we got, but if Gus in the bus sees you doing something that's really glaring, he cares enough about you as a friend that he's going to tell you about it. And that's a good friend to me. Those are the best kinds of friends to have. Are people who are honest. Uh, the toasting of Gus. Well, Gus, you've been a good friend, and honestly, I'm going to the RTR to say hello to you, uh, and uh, and be surprised at the great experience I'm sure we're all going to have. As most of you know, there's a new format this year, and of the gift that he was giving to us. And then an administrator in the Forest Service apparently decided to give him a hard time about fees. And as I was looking at the Forest Service handbook, there are a couple of different ways you could look at fees. In one section of the handbook on group activities, the Forest Service says you should charge no fee if there is an area. In another section of the book, the recommended fee is $5 per person per day. If you take that out at 10,000 people over 12 days, that's $600,000. And so apparently the most recent Forest Service guy read that part of the manual, but he didn't read the part that said you shouldn't be charging for dispersed areas. And Bob has mentioned that he couldn't afford to pay $600,000. So I don't blame him for doing what he's doing, but I do say that it's going to be completely different. Yes, it was buffering for me too. Lots of buffering. Let's all exchange info so when the RTR, I love Camper Goer one's thing. My email is Paynter Law Office, that's Payntер, Law Office at gmail.com. And I encourage anyone to feel free to contact me there. Gus says he's going to Skadden Wash where the RTR was last year. And then the plan is, presumably for a lot of people, we'll meet in Skadden Wash, but we're not telling you to go there officially. This is not enough. Any group of 2 people is a group. And they don't have to tell you how many people you have to have in a group in order to get a permit. There's no set standard. It's up to the ranger and the BLM district to decide how big of a group requires a permit. And you can bet if they have one of these events and there are a lot of beer bottles left out and condoms and all the things that go with these wild parties, that they may decide that you don't have to have very many people to be in a group in order for everybody to get a big fat ticket. So none of us are organizing groups, but a lot of us are saying, well, there is a dispersed area in Skadden Wash, and a lot of us are going there, but we're not doing it in a formal, organized sense. Don't come to my camp because I told you to come to my camp. Come to Arizona and come to the RTR. And by the way, if you want to camp somewhere, a lot of people are going to the Skadden Wash area, and there are a lot of other places that you can go as well. It's not the only one. Let me check some of these messages. Camper Goer 1 had an idea. Oops. Yes, Skadden Wash is where the RTR was last year and the year before, and I think you could just pull into Skadden Wash and look for people, and who cares if they're going to the RTR? You can make friends with anyone. They don't have to necessarily be RTR people. Why can't you say hi to the next guy? But if you see a beautiful RV with a big, tall antenna, that's probably Hobotech. And if you see a Prevost bus, that's probably Sasnak. And if you see a little teeny bus that's 20 feet long, that's gray, and it's got this funny looking sign with YouTube on it, that's probably Gus on the bus. And you will probably have found that a lot of people have decided to go dispersed camping. But I'm not telling you to go and camp with us. And I'm not telling you to come just to be in Skadden Wash. That's one of the Forest Service or the BLM's regulations. If you're going there just to be there, then that's a group outing. No, for sure, go to the RTR, go see Quartzsite, go see the lake, and go to Parker, and go to the casino. And if you happen to camp, maybe one of those nights you would camp in Skadden Wash. We're all trying to be very careful and dance around this organized meeting in group of more than one. Yeah, I will be camping by myself, and maybe I will be camping not too far from some other people, but I won't be camping with them. I'll be camping in a group of one by myself. And unfortunately, that's just the way it is. If you want to list your email, please do, and it would be fun so that when we're all at the RTR, maybe we could meet. I'm planning probably on only spending a few days at the RTR. I may not even make it to the regular RTR, and then my plan is to go to Texas. Uh, Guest says he's camping. He said, don't come in actual organized group camp. But he may be around some of his friends. And I think that's the position that we all must take. None of us are there camping together. We're camping in the dispersed camping area, and perhaps other people will be near us. And unfortunately, until we get a better read of the Forest, or not the Forest Service, the BLM, we really won't know how to react. Bob probably knows better than we do, uh, but none of us, at least not most of the people I've talked to, don't have personal experience with the BLM at the Ranger District there, and so we don't know what position they'll be taking. And hello, Ian. How are you? Good to see you from the west coast of Ireland. Uh, I think what we ought to do is have an RTR in Ireland. I think that would be a blast. Lauren says she lives, or he lives, in San Antonio, Texas. I love San Antonio and the River Walk. Uh, well, Camper Goer, when I'm going to send you an email and you and I'll talk. How about that? I don't think you don't necessarily have to camp with anybody to not be alone. You can camp with by yourself. I'm trying to get the words out here. You can camp with other people, all by yourself. There's no rule in dispersed camping about how far you have to be from the next vehicle. And so maybe there's another vehicle 15 or 20 feet away from you, but you're dispersed camping. Uh, so there's no rule that says you have to be 22 feet or 19 feet away from the next camper. There will be a lot of people in Skadden-Wash. There always are a lot of people in Skadden-Wash. It's known to be dispersed camping. I think the escapees go there, various groups go there, and so you won't be alone. But the question is, are you organizing a group camping space? And the answer, at least my answer to that, is no. Well, I'm not organizing anything. Don't come and tell the BLM people I'm here with Gus on the bus, or I'm here to be with Hobotech. I'm in Hobotech's camp. Don't say those things. What you say is, I'm here. I'm going to do dispersed camping, and by the way, Hobotech's next door, or Gus and the bus is over there, or Sassenach. That's Sassenach's Prevost bus. But but we're not organized, doing this in an organized manner. It's what Bob was doing to step through the rules. He was saying there are 10,000 people dispersed camping over here, and for whatever reason they didn't accept that this year. And so how can you blame Bob? You can't blame Bob for that. Uh, and it's just unfortunate. Um, Gus said, Camper One, come visit me. Lots of love. Stay the night nearby. Lots of love. Just do not tell officials I organize the event. And that no one really has gotten it out. The message we need to get out is, there's supposed to be a party yard there, and that could be considered an organized event. And some of the party, because I think you probably read the same manual I read, which describes what a group is. Two or more people is a group, and the part of the regulation that says we're not going to tell you how many people you have to be a group. That's a different number in every situation. And then when you read the regulations, it's about 180 days to get the appropriate permit. And then when you read the fine print, $5 per head, per person, per night, and you're responsible for people you don't even know that show up and claim that they're part of your camp. And a lot of people, I think, started thinking, maybe I shouldn't tell people where I'm camping this year. And that's my advice: is be very, very careful where you say. You can say, I'm going to be dispersed in the dispersed camping area in Quartzsite, in Skadden-Wash. But you don't want to say, hey, come to my camp. The more the merrier. Let's see how many people we can aggregate. Not a good idea unless you have cleared it with the BLM. So, just a little advice from somebody who did actually look at the regulations. I can't give you legal advice, and I'm not licensed in Arizona, so I'm not giving you legal advice, but I'm telling you how I feel, how I will take this, which is I'm going to be camping all by myself, and I won't be camping with anyone else. But I'll bet you I could throw a pebble and hit somebody uh, within feet or yards of my rig. And at night, there'll probably be a general campfire that I could go join. I'm not part of it. I can join it if I want to. I'm not hosting it. I'm not in charge of it. I'm not providing food. There's no stage. There's no sound system. There are no organized activities. Uh, I'm just going to go disperse camp there. And then from there, my plan, Gus made a great joke, and I'm not going to repeat the joke, but it was a funny joke. From there, I'm going to visit several other camps, and I'll have a better idea. A lot of people are trying to camp closer to the RTR because they plan to go to the RTR. And instead, not one day, but they plan to go every day. And it's going to be a nightmare driving, uh, breaking your camp and packing up and leaving and going there every day. So they're trying to camp closer, where they can keep a better eye on their things. And Tim, does campfire make it more difficult to breathe for you? I haven't had any trouble with campfires, and last year I was breathing significantly better. I was off all oxygen in Quartzsite because Quartzsite's only about 2,000 feet, and I think maybe even lower than that. It seems when I get to a lower elevation, I do better. I probably still have the sleep apnea, but I try to side sleep, get off my back. And this year I will be taking oxygen with me and seeing how I do. I know that I have deteriorated significantly this year. I used to be 98 level oxygen in Denver last year, and this year I'm 91. And so the progression of this thing is unfortunate. Um, but who cares? You know, the only thing that you that we now know upon birth is that we're terminal. Every one of us are terminal. And the only question left once you realize that is how you spend your life. And I don't want to spend the rest of my life paying for doctors' educations or the education of their kids. And I don't want to spend the rest of my life uh, doing the things I've been doing. It's time for a change. And as I said, 2020 will be a year of immense change for me. And maybe it isn't going to be all easy. You know, you think of change as good, but not all change is good. Transitioning to full time living in a Chevy Astro is going to be a challenge, especially with some of the electrical consumption requirements I have. I bought this year a very powerful computer, and it just gobbles electricity. And if I have to go on oxygen permanently, that machine is a very heavy user of oxygen, and so those are things I'm going to have to work through this year. But I'm at the same time I'm very excited about what that all is. Well, guys, I want to thank you all for being there, being here for me. I'm really excited about meeting you. Um, and clicky is not a good thing. Somebody, Patty was talking about, is it good to be clicky? And I don't think it is. And already we see a lot of clicks. For example, at the RTR last year, there was a YouTube click, and I didn't get into the YouTube click. And I'm the kind of guy, if I find out that it's a click and they're all together and they're not letting people in except by application, then I don't want to spend time with those people. And I don't care if I'm not, that doesn't make me popular. I don't care if I don't advance my YouTube career. I don't need I don't want to hang around that kind of thing. That's what I did when I was a kid, and I was miserable trying to be part of the clique and try to conform my behavior to cliquish behavior. I want to be open to everyone, and I don't care what race you are. I don't care if you're male or female. I don't care if if you're handicapped or you're not handicapped. I don't care if you're wealthy or if you're poor. None of these things make any difference to me. I see all people as kind of on an even level. I do take a lot of pity on extremely wealthy people because I think they get really addicted to their things. Uh, but except for my pity that I take on wealthy people, I think everybody is, and sometimes my disdain on extremely wealthy people. Uh, I think everybody deserves a fair shake. And I did an interview last year, and I some people really hammered me for it. And I don't want to say which interview I did, but it was, I thought, a very successful interview with a very interesting person. And this is how I am. So whoever you are, you have a room in my heart, and that's just the kind of person I am. I don't like I'm not a good guy to join the crowd and be part of the clique, and you get that at the RTR, and maybe less this year because there will be separate camps, and don't forget to email me. Okay, Camper Goer One, I'm gonna email you, and anyone else that wants to leave an email or contact information, and we can meet up at the RTR, I'm happy to help or accommodate that anyway. Uh, and Patty says she doesn't like the clicky crowd either. They're just boring people. They're people that try to be someone that they shouldn't be, and it isn't my style. Well, I think it's time to head out. I want to thank you all for joining in, and I wish you all a very happy new year. This is Timothy Painter from Denver, Colorado. Bye bye. Okay, Gus says you'll feel better at the RTR because you know people. Uh, I had a lady scream at me once. Be well. Thank you guys. Okay, we'll see you. Happy New Year's. Bye. See ya.